I tell students, I say, there's a couple of things. First of all, this is going to change your life. This is an experience you're never going to probably have again. And certainly many of them never had as an undergraduate. Being in a small group of people, intensely studying things in a remote location, you're not in Seattle, and you're going to get to know these people very well. But it's not just the seaweed part of it, it's the camaraderie, it's the making friendships, it's networking. It's being able to walk around here and walk into anybody's lab. This marine station and this place and the way that it works and the people that are here and the relationships that people have is really important. It's unique. You don't have anything like it on campus at all. The students who come here and they get a really unique experience. And I can't encourage people enough to come up here. I can't tell you how many times I've had seniors, this is their last quarter, they leave in tears. Why didn't I know about this when I was a sophomore or a junior?
We're repeating an experiment that James Byers did back in 2002, where he tested the burial depth on a species of clam that's invasive called Natalia obscurata. We're repeating that experiment by tying dental floss to clams and using that to restrict their burial depth, and then we're also repeating it with another clam, Rudotapes philippinarum.
Yeah, and the whole point of the project is just to see how predation affects introduced species and their ability to establish a population.
There are two different clam species. I can do a comparison. We have these are our Natalia obscurata. We've numbered them, so we have 120 of each species that we're going to be testing. So those are one of our species, and then our other ones, Rudotapes philippinarum, are these ones. And we're also trying to number them, but it's not really staying on them, so we're trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it's a full quarter project, and we are reading. So we read a bunch of papers that are set based on San Juan Islands, and we're building off of those past research papers and kind of making it our own, but also replicating and extending on some of their questions too. And right now we're looking at the difference in biodiversity between intertidal and subtidal ecosystems. At Argyle.
Specifically at Argyle, Creek and Bay. And we just got done with a bunch of tidal elevation measurements yesterday. So we gotta go process that data and everything. So that's fun.
I have kind of a side project along with the groups. I'm studying the correlation between avian abundance and diversity at beaches and whether or not that's affected by human activity. And my hypothesis is that they more have human activity, the less birds, but that's the research question that I'm going to figure out.
When you're in this major, you just want to come here. I know people, this is their second time and they'll probably come back for a third. But just being here, the in-field experience, and also talking to the professors. The professors here are amazing. They have just so much knowledge about the different areas, and they've just accomplished so much. So it's really cool to talk to them and what they've done.
I like it here because the hands-on aspect that you don't really get in a lot of classes on main campus. I'm a freshman, so I don't really have that much experience with the classes there. But I found out about here when I applied here, and I was oh, that seems sick. I'm from around here, so I'm used to this environment, and I was that would be so cool to live on the island and have more of an immersive class experience. So
yeah, and for me, I'm out of state, and this was probably one of the main reasons that I wanted to come here.
I like the community a lot. There's a community aspect here that you don't get. Even back at the dorms, McMahon, all these, you get this sort of community vibe, but you kind of get it like forced into you here, which is good. Like there's so many things to do, so you meet some cool people.
I think I liked how like hands-on everything is, because obviously in Seattle, big city, you don't get to do a lot of like marine research projects, so I think I enjoyed that the most.
I really like meeting everybody here and all sharing that one thing in common of being really passionate about marine biology, about conservation, because UW is so big that unless you're taking really major specific courses, it's hard to get that kind of we're all in this together for the exact same reason kind of vibe.
We are all very much nerds here, which is amazing, and I love it. And also, like, again, what Shantia said, the hands-on vibe is so unbelievably amazing, because instead of, sitting in a lecture for an hour, hour and a half, and then doing that all day, we'll have maybe one lecture and then go out and be in the field all day, and that's how we're learning. And I think there's very few other places where you can be sitting on a dock in the middle of the night and just hear orcas, breathe. It's amazing.
I think if anyone is on the fence about going, they should definitely go. You're not going to have a place on the San Juan where your dining hall is right there. The people are cool. The professors are great. It's just, I think it's a yes for anyone being hesitant.
It's definitely an experience that will create memories that will last a lifetime. I have had so much fun here. I wasn't fully committed to coming here at first. I just decided to apply just in case. And then after winter quarter, I was kind of like, I just need a fun quarter. So I ended up coming, and it's definitely changed how I want to go about the rest of my future, and it has solidified a lot of my interests and passions.
Building off of that, it's if you think you want to do it and you're worried because you're not going to know anybody, after day one, you feel like you've been here for years and you've only been there 24 hours maybe. It's really easy to make friends because everyone is as like-minded and just as crazy nerds as you are. There's always somebody running down to the dock, running out to go see whales, hanging over the edge of the dock, scooping nudibranchs off the sand with a net in a boat. There's always somebody doing something cool, and if you're just worried about it, you feel like you've been here forever, and these are your best friends in the world because you find a whole bunch of crazy people like you.
My name's Jack Lytle. I am a PhD candidate in Emily Carrington's lab in the University of Washington Department of Biology. We're up here at Friday Harbor Labs, and what we have over here is a gelatinous egg ribbon of a bubble snail. The Latin name is Hymenaea vesicula, and so inside of this ribbon, an adult snail has pasted all of their babies into these individual little capsules, and what you're seeing here are all of the early larvae swimming around in their capsule, presumably to oxygenate it so that they don't get choked out. But basically, all of those larvae are going to be in this capsule for about another week and a half, depending on how warm it gets. In this room, they'll hatch quicker because it's quite warm compared to what they're used to out in the ocean. And then they'll hatch out into the water as plankton, swim around and feed, and then they will settle back to the bottom and metamorphose back into their adult forms, to snails. Kind of a weird way of life that's pretty foreign to us. There's no mammalian life cycle that isn't. What I'm interested in studying is figuring out how temperature fluctuations affect the rates of important internal life processes in cold-blooded animals. So with ectotherms, cold-blooded animals, all of their important life processes track the environmental temperature. which makes them particularly sort of concern in the context of climate warming. If it gets too hot, they can start to, their internal life processes can start to fail, and they can die. So what I do is I measure how sensitive a lot of these life processes, things like growth and survival and respiration and behavioral things like movement, are to a range of temperatures. And once you figure out how temperature fluctuations affect those processes, you can kind of project, well, what if the world got a couple degrees warmer? What would happen to these animals? And you do that by a combination of lab experiments where you literally heat them up and observe what happens, and also some predictive modeling using computers and mathematical or statistical models. And the hope is that it'll increase our understanding of the sort of mechanisms by which climate change affects these organisms. And then one day that could be used to target conservation efforts and help land managers and things like that. UW's Friday Harbor Labs are particularly amazing because there are a lot of resources compared to the number of researchers who are here. So to your point about it being a smaller campus up here, you have the resources of a large university, UW. UW literally owns False Bay, where we were the other day, so I don't have to worry about collecting permits and things like that. The director of the labs has like a blanket permit that she then will dish out to researchers here as needed. And so, yeah, so there's a lot of amazing infrastructure here for me to use. Notably, there's we have a flow-through seawater system, so water gets drawn in from the harbor out there and shot into tanks here. There aren't any in this lab, but I can show you some over in the other labs. I'm sure you've seen them in your trip here. And what it allows you to do is collect animals from the wild and keep them happy and alive. It's really hard to do that on a bigger, like on UW main campus. Saltwater can be kind of damaging to a lot of infrastructure, plumbing and stuff. So there are people who study marine things on main campus, but they have to truck seawater. Like I know a lab that trucks seawater from the aquarium, from the Seattle Aquarium, and it's just a lot harder to set up. So when you're up here, you get a lot more individual attention, and you kind of have your pick of the fancy gear, which I really like. Also, it's a really naturally beautiful place. I mean, you took the ferry up here. Like there's sort of amazing diversity and access to really beautiful field sites.